Welcome back to The Starting Point. In today's episode, we'll do the dance everybody's been doing and tackle Overwatch versus League of Legends, and we'll keep our eyes out on some of the breakout stars from NALCS and the Overwatch League.
We'll also be talking about a couple of upswings and downswings that we've noticed in both leagues, and we'll be touching on a point in esports history that we just saw this weekend in CSGO.
So let's get right into the PvP. Judy.
Yes.
Is Overwatch dethroning League of Legends?
Not even a little bit, sir. And I cannot even believe you would say that.
You can't believe I'd say that. Well, I've got a nice team of statisticians and mathematicians on it, our best people, and they got me these numbers. Okay, so 10 million total viewers in the first week of Overwatch League.
10 million.
425,000 concurrent, meaning at the same time on one Twitch channel.
That's a number.
Compared to League's 350,000. All right, and if you want to talk in terms of relevancy to esports, you know, Father Time called. He wants his video game back. League of Legends has been around for too long. I'm hanging up the phone.
Get out of here. Just because Overwatch has been here for only 3 weeks doesn't mean that it's a huge deal.
It's pretty big, 10 million views.
All right, look, I'm gonna give you
okay.
the fact that it's new and exciting.
Yes.
And that is the only reason why people are tuning in, because it's new and exciting, and they just want to see the car crash. They want to see if something terrible goes down. You know why I say that?
Why?
Because on that same opening weekend,
Yes.
do you know who got even more views than Overwatch?
No, Judy. Tell me who.
No? You don't know?
No.
Have you heard of a man called Tyler 1?
Faintly.
Yeah,
You know?
you may have heard of him once or twice before. And he is known as a League of Legends streamer.
Oh.
In fact, he got banned from League of Legends.
Okay, what for? What is the League community known for?
Well, relax. Whoa, the league, you're talking to the League community right now. You better not. You better not. We're friends here.
Yeah.
But we might not be.
Oh.
If you call me toxic.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well,
Because I am not toxic, all right?
She's PMA embodied.
And I will fight whoever says I'm toxic. Just kidding. Point is, Tyler 1 got banned, right? And his viewership plummeted when he stopped playing League. And he himself admitted to missing League. And he had all of these other games at his disposal, including Overwatch, I'm sure.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not like Tyler 1 could ever be good at Overwatch.
Ooh. Yo, at Tyler 1,
Well,
Jimmy
let's put
said
that
to
out there.
1v1 him.
Come at me. I'll take you.
On both games.
Oh, okay. Not in League. You can have that. You can
Yo,
keep
DM
it.
him, Jim Basco
No.
TV.
Don't come for me, please.
No, but for real. Okay, so I get it. Like I was saying, I get that Overwatch, you know, it's the newness and the excitingness, but it's still a novelty thing, I think. Like, I mean, the numbers have dwindled a lot since the opening days.
Right.
I mean, we're only 3 weeks in, but League has already come back as the #1 Twitch streamed esport. Even on that first day, Overwatch League was still only the 4th most watched thing on Twitch. And it was Tyler 1 beating it out.
Yeah, you know, it'll take some time, definitely, for us to develop those, you know, Tyler 1 personalities. And if you look around the scene as we have it, we do currently have a couple big names. You got Pine, you got Sabiobi, you know, you got XUC, you got Siegel, which he was a little bigger towards the beginning of the competitive scene, but like after he got signed, he kind of disappeared. He just stopped streaming and stuff. But we do have those people. We just gotta give it some time. Let it try and build organically. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Yeah, I think, you know, what they're trying is a lot of new things, and it's gonna take some time. Like League also, they started franchising this year, and to different degrees of success and different degrees of really getting involved with the franchising. Because if you look at the Overwatch League, they've got city-based teams. So I already know Judy over here supports the New York Overwatch team. Am I wrong?
No.
Yeah. And, you know, you have to give props to Overwatch League because they are trying a couple different things. Now, I know franchising is the big new kid on the block that everyone's trying. I know League was doing some crazy things with it, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot because New York, you start building camaraderie and like fan bases with people who have never really had an interest in esports before, and people who really don't care about the Overwatch competitive scene that much. It's like anybody anybody, a complete League fan,
Ah.
could get invested in New York.
I'm not just anybody, okay? First off, I'm not just anybody. But I will admit that I do rep NYXL. Let's go. All day. New York, let's go. But that is something I do appreciate, to be perfectly honest, the city-based thing, although I still find that forced. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still, like, I get it, okay? You want the camaraderie, but, I mean, if we want to get real, they just transferred a bunch of Korean players to New York, which I'm completely okay with, by the way. That's the New York way to buy your way to victory. I'm totally with it. But it's still, you have to understand that that just doesn't grow overnight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We've definitely talked about this at length before.
Yeah.
Totally visit our, the leaderboard.net for more videos. But the truth of the matter is that, like, they're trying really hard to shoehorn in my opinion, this kind of fandom.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's working to a certain extent.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's at first these transitionary phases are going to be so awkward and clunky and feel forced because if you look at it, like, there really hasn't been anything like this ever done before. And so they have to be the ones to make these weird and awkward and clumsy changes because they can take the hit and then hopefully they can outlast the hit of it and then, it'll blossom into something beautiful. But we'll have to keep our eyes out on that. And, with the format of the league and just how it's set up, another great thing that we have in terms of not only fan bases and due to franchising is constant good competition. From week weed.
That's supposed to be week 1?
Week 1 to week 3. Week weed.
All right.
From week 1 to week 3 of the Overwatch League so far, we've had such diverse competition. We've seen teams rise to the top of fandom just to come crashing down. And it's just been like, there's so many different things that you just didn't expect. Like, you bring it up, just buying a Korean team just to win. Those Korean teams are starting to hit the ground.
Okay,
Finally.
wait a minute. Hold on. Riddle me this, though. Like, this is my real question, right? Because in League, I understand, right? We've always talked about wanting more international competition. We've always thought that was a big thing that was holding back North American teams from really pushing it to the limit and showcasing and learning from the best that usually gets localized in other countries.
Yeah.
Across multiple esports, this has been the case, except for recently. Tune in later. But anyway, point is, we have always wanted that in League. But now that I see it in Overwatch, I just feel like it's repetitive. I feel like it's redundant. You know what I mean? Because you find yourself watching the same games over and over and over, and because they're international, it's not going to get better than that. You know what I mean? We have worlds to look forward to.
That's true.
We have matchups we would have never seen throughout the year that's happening. We have explosive, like, random turns of events that are going on, and so that spikes our numbers even more.
Right.
So if people are tuning in week to week to see the best of the best, what hope does Overwatch have to get even better?
See, there it is. So innately in the format of the league, the way that it's set up, it creates, like you said, constant competition globally. So the people from Korea, like the, say, Seoul Dynasty, they're going to have to consistently be the best if they want to uphold the Seoul Dynasty. Like, literally, like, they have a lot to live up to, and they've already gone down. That's the thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty has gone down to New York. Granted, it's a Korean versus Korean roster, okay? Well,
As long as my team won, that's completely
yeah, right.
okay.
Yeah, I was just happy about that.
Right?
But let's look at something like Boston Uprising and London Spitfire. It's an American roster made of North American people against Korean teams. These are underdogs coming up from the depths to take out the Titans. So it's like, these things
that's a
can
story.
happen. And the only time you're gonna ever see that in League is during Worlds and, Korean stomp Worlds.
I don't know. You got to watch more NALCS. There's a lot of drama going on there, which we're going to talk about later for sure. But for now, I really think the biggest issue is just defining what it means to be a real fan, right? So I think that the way Overwatch League has kind of tried to make these kind of city-based things to inspire people to become fans. Sometimes people follow for players. So I know that people you know, they're trying to pull people towards the city-based kind of fan bases in order to draw them to the league.
Right.
But I feel like there's got to be a better way of defining what it means to be a fan of these leagues, right? So what if we looked at, I don't know, subreddit numbers? Do you have subreddit numbers?
Yeah, I got a couple subreddit numbers.
Because our League of Legends is massive.
I don't think Overwatch, just both the main subreddit and the competitive subreddit, I don't think they're too far behind at all.
Really?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like the League subreddit only has 200,000 more subs than the Overwatch one.
I mean, we can't front like 200,000 isn't a big number, first off. But, I mean, okay, but do you have esports and the regular game stuff in the one subreddit like we do?
I guess that's another point of contention. We do have a split because the community of Overwatch innately is just so different from the casual people to the competitive, more competitive-minded community.
But isn't that weird? Isn't that kind of strange that like your competitive niche would be entirely different than your player base? Because I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this has been explicitly stated, but I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but I'm fairly positive that League of Legends esports exists purely to make people want to play the game.
No, because I watch it and I will never play that game unless I'm trying to get ranked. I'm gonna do my placements just to see if I'm still bronze 3 material, but well, we'll see.
We'll see about that. You're a little rusty. A lot of things have changed, so we'll see. We'll make that our challenge. We'll make that our season challenge to see who gets the highest ranked in both games.
Oh, God.
At the end of the season. We got this. We got this.
Okay. We'll have to shake on it then, right?
All right, fine. There we go.
There it is.
Sealed. The end of this season, we'll see who's got the higher ranked in both games. Leave a comment below with your bets.
Yeah, okay.
And bet on me, because I'm going to win.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and say I peaked Grandmaster in Overwatch. All right.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Mr. 1%er. That's your name now. That's your name now. Jim Basco,
has
the 1%.
Wrong connotation. No.
You got it. You got it. You own that. Mr. Grandmaster.
I guess that is.
Anyway, so speaking of Mr. 1%, I've got some numbers for you.
Okay.
One of them is that in South Korea, in all of the PC bangs in the country, the play rate for Overwatch is at 9%, compared to League of Legends is 23%. And obviously PUBG is at 35%, but no one really cares who they're doing. Anyway, so what does that tell you then? You would be among the minority in Korea for a multitude of reasons, but also
for a multitude of
play
reasons.
Overwatch.
Yes. But I don't know. You know, it was at a very good place in PC bongs nationwide, very early on in the phase. But Blizzard does this weird thing when they release their multiplayer games that they take longer than other esports companies, game developer companies, to really come out with a standardized version of their league. We saw this was the case really with StarCraft 2. You know, that game came out, there was not a huge fan base, but there was still the StarCraft fan base. They tried moving over, it's just the tournaments weren't set up. They weren't set up fast enough. They stymied all the lower organizations and really put out the fire of the esports scene in Korea.
Right, and this is the company that you backed and you care about.
And it's like, they're doing a good job now. Why couldn't you do this like earlier?
I don't know. I just think it's really weird that because another thing that I don't know if people considered when Overwatch first came out, I remember reading an article about how people were like, oh, Overwatch overtook League, like in the PC bongs, oh my gosh, is League finally dead? And everyone forgot that you have to pay for Overwatch and you don't have to pay for League. So like, why would anyone, or well, why other than, you know, social interaction and all that, but that's besides the point. Why would you leave your house to play a free game that you can play at home? You would leave your house to play a game that you don't want to pay for in a PC bong, right? But I just think that number is too inflated too, even though it's still in League's favor, right?
Yeah.
League is still the more played game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not none of those things really quantify to me what the fan base really looks like right now.
Yeah, and I think that's an accurate representation because, like, you know, we get all these arbitrary numbers from League, or not from League, from Rito, Riot Games, the good old, yeah, and we get numbers from Blizzard. From Riot, we get, like, what, 300 million what? Concurrent players? People have downloaded the game? Like, what? From Overwatch, we get 35 million people have bought the game. We don't get concurrent numbers or anything.
yeah.
So it's like so hard to gauge where the community's at and just how many people are playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we can agree that Overwatch League is new and exciting. I guess it has room to grow.
It does. It does.
League is still better.
Yeah. League,
I just can't.
League has got the helm for now. Definitely has got the helm. But I really think that with some good time, they've already signed multiple year contracts, so the money's there. As long as the fans keep making their voices heard, keep that Overwatch subreddits active, keep tuning in, I think it could really go places. But for now, League might have the lead.
I mean, might. We've just gone through all the numbers to say that League does. But see, this is what I just don't get, right? How do you even watch Overwatch without getting a headache, dude? Like, I cannot watch. Okay, I was just at Boston, okay? I was just at Boston at the E-League Major this past weekend. And watching CSGO is, like, amazing. It's amazing and it's harrowing. I know. Well, you can't?
I can't argue with
argue.
CS.
Oh my God, yeah, okay. Because I was gonna say, I know you have a history in CS. I know your brother played as well and stuff, right? So you understand, CS is beautiful to watch. And it's so dramatic, intense, and Overwatch is just all over the place.
Give it, once again, I think it'll be a time thing, because League, I can't say, when I first started playing League, so many skills to learn, so many actives, so many passives. You have to learn at least 130 champion abilities to be able to watch a game. And, okay, not 130, maybe whatever the meta is, but still a lot. I think if you put your time into Overwatch, you will not be disappointed. Judy, we can do this. Give it some more time. Caches will get better. Blizzard.
Hire this man.
Yeah.
Hire him.
If you can understand the game better, your appreciation of it will go up. You'll become a more happy human being. Let's start a positive movement for change, you know?
I'll trust you on that one. We'll see. And we'll be covering it with scrutiny. All right, because I'm turning over every stone, okay?
Yes.
I'm not letting Overwatch live unless it's excellent, okay?
Okay.
And they better fix that spectator nonsense.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
it makes me dizzy. It's terrible. I don't know. Do you think League is not watchable? Do you find it difficult to watch?
So when I first started watching League, I definitely found it unwatchable, just because I had no freaking clue what was going on. And it's a little bit like me watching Dota 2 now. While I still understand what's kind of going on.
Oh, but Dota 2 is different. It's like a mess of muddy colors, and it's
why
terrible.
Why are they all muted? Why are the colors so muted?
Because
it's
the
like
game is
they
old and they're like
depressed.
proud to be old. It's terrible. Whatever. Over it.
Yeah, forget Dota. League, Overwatch, that's where it's at. You know, let's keep doing that. Let's keep doing happy games. No more muted, sad steam. I don't know.
And we'll keep it locked to see how the both leagues continue.
Absolutely. We've been talking numbers for quite some time now. To kick off tonight's roundup, we're going to give you the biggest and most important number, maybe out of all of esports history. 1.1 million concurrent viewers on a single Twitch channel. Brought to you by Counter-Strike and the Boston Major that just happened this past weekend.
Oh, yes, dude. Esports is winning. Esports is finally getting the viewership it deserves.
Absolutely. Cloud9 are going to be taking that first major home, the first NA team to be taking an international major. They beat FaZe Clan, who had Olafmeister on their team, and previously Cloud9 didn't look too good against the FaZe roster. They were 0-2 previously, but we know things went a little differently this past weekend.
More than 0-2, they, like their history, they have, the last 3 times they met FaZe Clan, they lost 0-2. Just FaZe Clan demolished them the last 3 times they saw them in tournaments. So after that terrible history of losses, they go back and in double overtime take them out. And honestly, the MVP that, E-League gave Skadoodle MVP of the game, of the whole series.
Yeah.
And it was super well deserved. His picks were amazing, precise. He was everywhere he needed to be, right when he needed to be there. And honestly, after the longest standing member of Cloud9's roster in CSGO, he was starting to kind of look a little lackluster. I don't know if you remember, because he's so stoic and kind of down tempo, he's very soft-spoken, and so he wasn't really performing up to par. And then this tournament happened, and he was just on top of it. One thing that they point out, that I heard one of the casters point out, was that he is one of the more supportive oppers. So as you well know, I'm sure, as a sniper, you want to funnel as much money in Counter-Strike to the opper so that they can have all the tools they need to pick people off.
Right.
But instead, Skadoodle buys a lot of grenades and like flashbangs and smoke grenades, and he's actually one of the more supportive oppers that we see in the professional leagues. So really, this guy just hands down stole the show and was a real pivotal reason for their win. I mean, the whole team did really well, but he really showcased it.
Skadoodle, man. And we've been hearing that name for just so long.
I'm
so glad things are going well.
Yeah, it's high time that he shined, honestly.
Absolutely.
And with this crowd, it's amazing. You can see in this clip that I brought, every single pick was just highlighted by just uproarious cheering. Take a look at this. This is literally in the middle of the match, just like celebrating for kills.
That was just 2 kills and people are already standing on their feet for it.
Yeah, look at it, and waving the flags everywhere. This is just magical to be there and to hear all around you like-minded people chanting USA and Cloud9 and let's go. The players themselves, unfortunately, can't hear it really because they're wearing, the white noise headphones. But I mean, look at how tense they are. It's so good.
And as a player, you look around into this audience and you see all the flashing lights, people standing up, cheering, waving their flags. That's got to be ridiculous.
If you can make it out to a live game, please do, because this is esports. This is the way esports is meant to be experienced, with just your heart beating fast and the tension mounting and your favorite teams playing, and it's just unforgettable. Let's take it back to the games that we know and love, because I have questions.
And I have answers.
All right, so who is #1 in Overwatch now? Because I thought NYXL was.
Yeah, me too.
And they beat the Dynasty.
Yeah.
Right? And then they lost to Fusion.
Yeah.
Who then almost lost to the Dragons?
Yeah.
Aren't the Dragons the worst ones on the list?
Second to last, but pretty much the same, all towards the end.
What does that even mean then?
I don't know. Week 3, the week of upsets, lots of crazy things happened. Seoul Dynasty, they went down to the New York Excelsior, like you mentioned. New York worked a lot on focusing Ryu Jahong, focusing the supports of the Seoul Dynasty, and that's how they found their success. They knew if they left Jaehong alive for too long, he would just be too much of a carry for his team. Not in the sense that he was just out healing the enemy healers, but he did a fantastic job of coordinating, just leading the team in shot calls, and good overall. New York, however, did their homework. They were able to come back and take that victory off the Seoul Dynasty. But like you mentioned, New York Excelsior lost to the Philadelphia Fusion, who then almost lost to the Shanghai Dragons.
That's
what is going on?
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And I guess that's the one upside we got with this league. Lots of matches coming up, so we'll have more data to finally settle, I guess, power rankings. But until then, it's still all up in the air. New York, though, looking very strong, tied for first place currently. We've been talking about upsets in Overwatch. Judy, I hear it's been a crazy week over in NALCS.
You want upsets? TSM is 1-3.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. There are all kinds of reasons for that. But right now, the teams to look at are 2 newer teams. Well, Echo Fox was there last season, but Echo Fox has an entirely new roster made of 3/5 players who either didn't play together before or played together and didn't like it. So there's some intense stuff going on over there. And we've got 100 Thieves, which is a new brand entirely.
Right.
And it's comprised of a mishmash of other players who also don't really have much experience together. And a coach, Prawley, who's come from EU. Well, he was American and then was the coach for the analyst for H2K. They did spectacularly well. And so he came out to be a coach for 100 Thieves. And they have seen significant success. Now, I don't know if you're trying to be an Echo Fox fan. I feel like you were a TSM fan before.
Yeah, I used to be.
Yeah.
I was TSM, CLG when Nidalee was a big thing, and who was that guy that used to just play Nidalee on CLG?
Hotshot GG.
Hotshot GG.
The founder and CEO of CounterLogic. Well, he used to be the CEO. He's the founder. He sold it to Madison Square Garden, actually.
What?
Yeah, so
What?
CLG is the closest thing we have to a New York team.
What? I had no. How did I not even know about that? That's ridiculous.
Well, maybe you don't know about it because CLG sucks now. Because
There you
they're
have it.
terrible. Aframu is actually one of the acquisitions on 100 Thieves. Aframu, I don't know if you remember,
Yeah,
for a long
yeah.
time, was the shot caller and primary guiding force of CLG.
Yeah.
He was really, really essential to their success. And now his absence is really showing. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm really glad that Aframu's on a team with a good macro-based shot caller. So I really expect to see a lot of good things coming from there. And plus, they have Someday, which used to be a Dignitas top laner.
And you used to love Dignitas.
When they used to be in the league. Sigh.
So sad.
Speaking of Aframu and Prawley, I'm going to take it over to our Hero Select section where we talk about outstanding and interesting players to look at in the league to come. And I'm going to start with Aframu and Prawley. I know I started talking about them, but really I'm super impressed with the way they brought a new team together and made it look mature and developed in a way that TSM hasn't even been able to do.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting to me to see, you know, a team that is consistently #1 get shown up by this new team, but I'm frankly really here for it. Aframu has deserved this for a very long time. I really think CLG has been way too heavy on him and he just couldn't pick it up on his own. So now he's got the macro-based intelligence on Prawley's side to really develop this into a good team. I really think they're going to go places with that. Additionally, we really need to talk about Huni and Dardoch. Huni in particular, I'm super glad he's back because he's got an aggressive top lane style that really nobody can match. Unfortunately, people who are normally aggressive, like Someday, for example, they're just relegated to playing tanks, maybe even impact to a certain extent. They just have to babysit the rest of the team, unfortunately, because that's not where those team strengths lie. But Huni, everybody knows that you have to let Huni be Huni. You know what I mean? You remember when he was on IMT and he lost that, I think the semifinals game against TSM because he picked Lucian into, I believe, a rumble and then just lost outright, tilted off the face of the earth. Well, he left, came back, and what do you think he played on his first game back at NA?
Don't tell me.
Absolutely.
What?
He pulled out the Lucian and bodied, wiped the floor with him. And it felt so good because you know this is Huni's reckless but calculated aggression. And that's his playstyle, and that's what I like to see. That's what I think makes really good League. Now, with Dardoch on his side, that can go one of two ways. You know, no one can deny that Dardoch is a good jungler.
Right.
But he's got a history.
Yeah.
He's got a history of tilting off the face of the earth. He's got a history of being rude to his teammates. I really hope he's learned. But, I mean, you never know. I'm waiting for the day that Huni does feed and int like crazy because he's bound to with his playstyle. Just pick Fiora, tower dive 8,000 times.
Oh, no.
And that's when we're going to see Dardoch's true test of whether he's actually reformed or not. But what do you think is going on? Who are some noteworthy players for me to look at in Overwatch? Because, you know, I'm not really familiar with them.
Okay, so there's a couple big names that we're gonna have to stick to. So New York, let's just go down the list. Sabiolbi, Arc, Pine, Libero. These are big names, but probably the most impactful ones from the Soul Dynasty game that we had, and maybe just from the past couple of weeks. You want to focus on Sabiolbi and Libero. They're the DPS duo that we see the most often coming out from the NYXL, and I want to say they're the most versatile.
So what do they play usually?
So Sabiolbi, he'll give you that tracer, that hit scan, but he's also flexible. He can go to Widowmaker, he can go to Soldier, he can go to McCree if he needs to, but usually Libero is where a lot of the flex power comes from. So a lot of teams now, the interesting thing they're doing is they have this tracer specialist, and they'll have whoever else. So in the matchup of New York versus the Philadelphia Fusion, it was interesting because we had Sabioli and we had Libero out. Libero rotating through his roster of heroes. He was on Genji, he was on Junkrat, he was on Pharah. This guy was trying everything.
In the same game?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was just trying to stop Shadowburn's Genji. But that guy is ridiculous, dude. You can definitely watch Shadowburn pop off time after time after time. And there was an interview with Shadowburn actually, and he was like, what does a good Genji do? And he said, be unpredictable. And that's exactly what we saw from that madman. He was 2 supports down. The rest of his team is dying, and he decides to pull out his Dragon Blade, and he gets a double or triple kill. That guy is nasty. But New York doesn't know what to do. I'm not sure if you've heard Pine.
Yeah. Oh, I know Pine.
Oh, Pine.
Pine I've heard of. With
Pink
that.
hair,
With
McCree. Yeah.
Of
He's
course.
a baller. Weirdly enough, so from what you know of Overwatch, McCree, Genji. McCree, you stun Genji and shoot him in the head.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They didn't put in Pine once.
Why?
I don't know.
Scripted.
I don't know why they didn't put in Pine.
Conspiracy theory.
Maybe he wasn't as strong on those maps. Maybe they wanted to show Soul like
I know
we don't
what
even
was
need
happening.
to.
I know what was happening.
What's up?
NYXL just wanted to give them a game to give them a false sense of security so we can come back and look even better next week.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds legit.
Yeah. New York did. New York beat Seoul the next day. We're going to have to see if they can beat Fusion in the next week. But there's already been so many breakout players and plays. You definitely have to keep your eyes out because there's going to be people from teams that you weren't expecting doing a lot of things. I'm looking at you, Boston. So we're going to have to keep our eyes peeled for sure.
Awesome. One thing we've seen a lot lately is upsets. A lot of major teams are just not showing up in these first few weeks.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about why.
Okay.
CLG, for example, we've already talked about how lost they are without Aframu. And I think even more lost is Stixxay in the bot lane with a new support. I already thought he was a very poor support I already thought he was a very bad ADC to begin with. And now with a new support, who he has to learn to gel with, and, you know, their main shot caller being gone, we're really starting to see the holes in CLG as a team. Additionally, SKT is looking terrible. It's ridiculous. After winning Worlds the previous season, they are a shell of their former selves. It's actually really sad. We've got Wolf, the previous support, in the jungle. Can you believe it?
Yeah, that's how you know when things are hitting the fan.
It's terrible. It's really depressing to see that Faker is literally the only good part of that team. We used to joke about that, but I mean, you couldn't say that with Bang and Wolf in the bot lane and, you know, some of the historic top laners they've had, but now it's just, they're a skeleton team now, and I really think they're going to be sacking this year in order to just wait for better players to crop up.
Yeah, and it's somewhat of a similar story that we're seeing in Overwatch because, you know, like you mentioned, SKT and their former glory, SKT is an organization that's not new to League. They've been glorious at League for quite some time now. They're washed up at this point, I guess you could say. And if you take a look at the Dallas field, you know, they have the former reigning champions of Apex, Season 1, Envious. They've got what they need. The ingredients are there. The winning ingredients are there. You've got Taimu, you've got XQC, you've got Seagull, you've got Mickey, you've got so many fantastic players on one team. Just the synergy's not there. Just something's not clicking between these guys because we've been watching the Dallas field since week 1 of the Overwatch League, and they've tried multiple different rosters. They've had different people in and out, and nothing seems to be working. It's really, really sad, but they've got to change something. They've got to either work on their synergy and communication or really get a distinguished shot caller, because from one of their interviews, we learned that they don't really have a single shot caller. Taimu just kind of picks someone off. They go, oh, they're down one. Let's capitalize on this, and they'll start rolling. But if you never got the ball rolling in the first place, how can you even just make your moves as a team? That's what they're struggling with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I did see an interview with Seagull recently where he seemed optimistic about what the team had going forward, but I couldn't tell if it was just him being his happy-go-lucky self, always being happy to be here, or if he was just kind of really feeling it, because the rest of the team didn't look so hot.
Yeah, they didn't look so hot for sure, and there's definitely not a lot of positive mentality floating about the team. There have been a couple incidents, I'm sure you guys have heard about it with XQC, and just not a lot of cohesion between the teammates. And more so than anything, really more so than anything, what this league will bring out of the teams is who has the best synergy, who has the best teamwork, because the maps are the same. The meta is mostly going to be the same. They're going to keep the patch the same throughout the stage, so that's going to be constant. The maps are going to be constant. What can change is who's on the team, because they do have mid-season signings, and how well those teammates work together. So Dallas Fuel looking to sign AKM going into the season. Hopefully, they're hoping maybe that soldier skill, maybe some McCree, he's learning Genji apparently, so maybe he will be the catalyst that they need, but it's looking kind of bleak for the Dallas Fuel.
Who do you think will be the shot caller then? If they acquire AKM and they have the rest of the roster, who is AKM replacing, do you think, and who do you think might be their shot caller?
Ooh, who is AKM replacing? I think that's a good question, because they'll probably keep Siegel. He's good with Genji. Maybe they'll run him, like, I don't know. AKM's a very versatile player, so I think he's going to be taking a lot of Taimu's places. Like, Taimu's Widow's good, but it's not as consistent as AKM. That's just, Taimu pops off, but AKM's like bread and butter. This guy he's great. I don't know how he didn't make it into the first season of Overwatch League, but he's here now.
Stability versus volatile playstyle. Very interesting. That reminds me a lot of TSM's experiences recently, because I mentioned earlier they're 1-3 right now, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Both Mike Young and Song have gone on record to say that they are still learning the meta, that they're still working out their own shot calling experiences, because Mike Young is a very aggressive jungler.
Right.
So he used to be the shot caller of his previous team last season. But we've got Sven and Mithy in the bot lane. Mithy is also a very prolific shot caller. And in previous seasons, Bjergsen had to take on that role. So I'm sure there's too many cooks in the pot, you know, lots of people, lots of voices, and that's kind of muddying up the whole thing. But I don't know, TSM has exhibited this behavior before. They always kind of look shaky in the beginning, only to go on and take it to #1 at the end. So I'm personally hoping that we get some longer upsets, but I don't want to see TSM crash and burn, you know?
Yeah, because it's one of those good old organizations that you'll never, get over loving. It's like TSM, CLG, those good old, like Cloud9.
TSM is definitely one of the big, colossal founders, right? But I love to hate them. If you ask my friends, I'm the resident TSM hater. I know I'm wearing black and white, but that's because it's an Echo shirt. Echo's cool, but not TSM. They can stay down there. Let 100 Thieves rise.
You heard it from her. Echo's cool, TSM not. And that brings us to our ending point. We'll leave you with a clip of the usually stoic Skadoodle showing a couple cracks in his armor in this post-game interview.
Congratulations, Skadoodle. At your first major playoffs, you had to take down G2, SK, and today you took down FaZe. Today, you have made history. You are the E-League Major Champion.
Thank you. I don't really have much words to say, as you know. I'm not crying, you're crying, stop. Yeah, I mean, not much to say. I can't really say too much. I'm just super proud of the boys. And as a first major playoff, appearance, it's amazing. Sorry.
That's it for The Starting Point. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already.
And hit that bell icon to become part of our notification squad so you can find out when we post our videos, usually 7 times a week.
Awesome. Keep it locked here on the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.